absolutely not. No. No words. No words. I should have said the poem. So beautiful. So beautiful.
My family is filled with poetesses, poets, healers, musicians, Secretary Generals, co-saviors, equinox, true cues,
as much
as soon as they cooperate with one another
the co-federation of solar, sun, our starship, planet Earth, restored to heaven on our heaven earth, as our spiritual, genealogical, local, global, universal, Voyager, and shared her and his family community enterprise. Our new millennium
you know what? We're going to start this over again so that we can.
Throughout the solar system and universe.
Okay, we're broadcasting today, and we're doing again the larger ceremony with everybody's names mentioning, because I want to make sure that people, I think some people who may have interest in this and are afraid to say that they do, may call into this line, and all of you will have at least an additional easy way to hear it at any time, even if you don't, let's say you want to hear it in nighttime or whatever, and you're not near your computer, or while you're eating or something, and you just have your cell phone with you, you can hear it this way. However, I want to make very clear that you're all sitting literally on a Fukushima event. Most likely, the greatest risks are in Illinois, but there's some other nuclear reactors in California and in New York, where some of our family also are, that could be set off by this situation. Why is this occurring at a systemic level? You have to just understand very clearly. The women of North America are not talking with each other. There's a reason for that. They have a huge scar where their ascending motivation and inspiration was going toward gender parity. They were rising, their stars were rising for this in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Then some very complicated errors began to occur, and feminism in the United States was both reactive and co-opted. And in addition, our media was profoundly controlled by old men. As a result, the women in North America had kind of a lot of sand thrown in their face by people who should have been leading them into an excellent time. And also a lot of women in North America, a lot of people in North America did not have the most excellent breastfeeding and bonding experiences with one or both parents, and especially important in relationship to the mother. And a lot of women in the United States, also because of the geographical diaspora, which a large landmass country has, lost contact with their eternal feminine. They don't, it's droned. It's kind of at a droned level. And they're not striving for what other people have already achieved. Other people around the world in the billions already have multiple year family leave. Other people in the billions already have gender parity. You are extremely lagged, and your leaders and your television is trying to not let you think about that. Therefore, you have what I would call a dissociative disorder. You want equality. Most of us have been raised on wanting a good world for most people and not a plutocracy. But what you have now is a plutocracy because of the failure of the feminist vision in the United States getting co-opted and moving away from global feminism, getting caught up in nationalistic issues that don't also protect the environment and other things that have occurred here that has to have a paradigm shift. So we're gathering at this marvelous, miraculous place, this home that was a gathering place for women of neighborhoods. And some of them were contemporaries of our great-grandmother, who were the great-grandmothers who were the proprietesses of this place. And they helped raise themselves and children there, and with other children coming in and other youths coming in with the women, females and males, youths and children came to the place also. And we're gathering back there, and then we're also thinking further back in time to 1776, when everybody was supposed to have been given common sense, not the Constitution that we got. The Constitution that we got kept women out, kept indigenous people out, called people slaves against their will and forced them to wear chains and separated them from their families very cruelly, and often allowed many of them to be whipped and murdered and raped. And it also allowed, and that was all legal. Remember, that was all, that was what the law said was legal. And it also had a property requirement. So people who were middle class or lower could not serve in the government. Only the very wealthy plantation owners and the wealthier businessmen were getting into the government for a very long time. Now we had a time of rising out of that gradually. We fought civil wars, that didn't quite handle the problem. We had New Deals, that didn't quite handle the problem. You know why it didn't? Because the women weren't fully empowered. So now we either empower the women fully with parity and give them time to talk and enjoy one another in the context of being love, co-empowered people that can make a good society with their next generations and all people equally, more equally and reparatively and equally. Or we have a Fukushima, maybe a set of Fukushimas in all of your different towns. And you know, radiation travels through the air. Just because of Fukushima occurs in Illinois doesn't mean you won't get the radiation in New York and in California or Oregon. You will. You will. So all of you stand to gain by coming to the conferences and taking whatever risks you think you're taking emotionally or in any way. Whatever risks there are, you have to try to take them. Now, I am taking some risks. I already today did some things that are rather risky because I am being, like a lot of people around this culture right now, I am being threatened with illegitimate procedures and by illegitimate people who are playing games of threat. And they use other people who are less knowledgeable to implement their threats. That's how Nazi Germany worked, and that's how Stalinist Russia worked. Only Stalinist Russia didn't have a Chernobyl built yet. Now we do. We have all kinds of nuclear power plants. We have nuclear weapons and all kinds of stuff that Stalin didn't have. You pair patriarchy with technology now, and you wind up with Fukushimas. I'm hoping that by doing what I'm doing, it will forestall the worst of that, and all of you will at least survive. And if you go through any of it, you'll learn what I've been telling you. But I can't know. I mean, this is a very dicey situation to have to learn by taking such levels of risks. It's kind of insane, and you are insane. You have a dissociative disorder that was induced by all these factors that I've given to you. And you have to act with some remaining intelligence, understanding for yourselves that you do have dissociative disorders, or you would have been connecting better by now. You would be valuing your own family tree better by now. So you have some kind of disorder. And for a lot of people in this family and community, it's either extreme overvaluation of father figures or extreme fear of father figures, or some combination of the above. And I believe that's at work in the minds of many of the women, and they don't want to admit it, but that is at work in their minds. They're afraid of rejection. They're afraid of disciplinary behavior on the part of the men, and they're afraid of potential abandonment or abuse, and that's affecting many of the women on this list. And it also includes the desire to replace father figures that you felt were not satisfactory or that you lost earlier in your life and you'd like to have back. But you have to be very careful that you're not taking an inferior version of fatherhood that is less than what you would have under an egalitarian culture. The patriarchal father is a paterfamilias. In Rome, when they had that arrangement, they killed a lot of their slaves. They raped a lot of their slaves. They cuckolded all their wives. The wives couldn't vote. They had a bunch of wars. They had all kinds of crucifixions. They eventually fell from their own misuse of technology. There were lead in their pipes. And also they were attacked by other more patriarchal cultures that saw that they were not decent people and they really weren't civilized. They just pretended to be. They had a lot of goodies that they stole from other people. So it wasn't really such a great place for most of the people who live there. So you're getting into that realm for sure. Our culture is now tanking in that way, and we are in the same situation of Rome just before it fell. And your officials are fiddling while Fukushimas are getting ready to burn. That's essentially what's going on. And it's because the women are not talking with each other and are not stepping up to the plate of co-leadership. So you have the way out here. You have the way out of the trap. I've already said this to many millions of people. I've told everybody who knows me I've done it. I don't know what else I can do except to invite you to come join and enjoy this. Because, you know, God will protect you who try to do the right thing. And the problem for some of us, for me, I've been doing so many of the right things with so little response that I'm afraid to do only right things all the time and have other people well, I don't know, not react properly to it because they've lost some of that ability within themselves. And that can happen. So I'm a little bit afraid to be so imbalanced with you. You need to cooperate with each other and with me because you're not valuing the good that's being done on your behalf. And then Goddess God will see that you have no light within you, and Goddess God will destroy our planet. Goddess God will destroy our planet. I don't think that's what you really want. And I'm telling you how simple it is to fix this. Just come to the conference calls. Call one another up and say, you know, what have we got to lose? She's been broadcasting for a long time. What have we got to lose by just coming? Get some other women to come with you and then bring your youth, females and males. It's really simple. So, okay, so let's do this. And the kitty cats are coming in and out, and they're here a lot, and they love you too. Okay, so let's, I think I'll do the ceremony and then the music, because I think the ceremony is most important for all of you. And I hear the music all the time, and I am the music, and you are the music. So we can leave the inspirational music, and you heard it this morning. It's on the broadcast this morning, and you can hear it on all of them. So I'm gonna forego the music and just get to the ceremony. Okay. And I am going to show the screen sharer of this marvelous, miraculous place that we want to open the stargates from. And I have been in touch with the Stargate family, women of that family, and as well as men. And I know that we can do this if you just give it a try. So here's the picture, and I'll play this tape.
And then she said she couldn't use the name for everybody. Did you come to that? That's when she came back and started to self-defense with the bloody center. Her whole was to have her children there. She did it. Because Travis so happy just to get along with their lefty. She was careful, very careful. And there was a sister, Clara.
You know, I want to say something too about what I just said. I think a lot of the men of the North American continent would be quite happy with gender parity, maybe a near majority, or maybe even the majority. What's happened is that a kind of a weird interaction, for all the reasons I gave you, happened. And men see that women are not striving for parity. They're not trying. They're subverting each other. They become each other's own worst enemies. So the men now who would like to do parity for women don't know what to do. You're sending them a very complicated signal. If women don't take each other seriously and know that they have gifts to give to their world, and if they have such low self-esteem or such relational aggression, jealousy, or envy toward other women that they can't cooperate at all, then you also destroy the world for men. The nicer men cannot exist in that world. And the only men who are left will simply destroy the world, so the world won't exist for them either. Women have to be responsible to one another. They can't avoid this obligation without disastrous results. If they try to subvert it or game patriarchy to make it work for them, even though it's not working for the vast majority of women around the world, Goddess God has an answer for that. Goddess God will give those who gain that plutocracy political power while also removing their land and turning the whole scenario into animal farm. The land will be destroyed. So all those plutocrats will have all their titles and absolutely nothing underneath their feet. Goddess God will do that. Goddess God does not like what you're buying into here. So I'm warning you. I've warned you enough. I think you're freaked out and scared, and that's another reason why you don't come. But you know, you're not little babies in a cradle. Even if you didn't get the best babyhood, you have some adult capability to get yourself in hand and say, look, what she's saying is making a lot of sense, and it's making common sense. And we have to move on this. We have to do something positive to come into this situation, or we'll just have simply caused the end of the world. We, the women, will have caused it, even as much as any of these alpha male men. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself and to your next generations. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to you. Give yourself a chance. Give yourselves a chance. Okay, so now who's here? Who's gathered with us? This is the home of Ray. And she has her sister Clara, and Clara is staying with her. She's not just visiting. She's staying for a long time, many, many months, maybe a year or two. She's got lots of time. They're on the Q continuum. Clara's there with Ray. We have a Sarah Harriet and a little Ya. And little Ya is not only being taken care of by Lily and Gay, but she's getting a lot more of attention from Ray, because Ray and her whole gender are more empowered now, and therefore Lily and Gay doesn't have to, and a whole bunch of all these black women that worked as nursemaids and maids and chefs and cooks and so forth that they did for so many white women, they have some time with their own children, and they come into this place as equals, not just as servants. Okay, and Ray likes that, and Clara likes that, and that's really nice. And also we have here Anna Marie and Ma Patricia, and I really should start with them. And I am in touch with them, and I keep making contact with them, and other people that I know are in contact with them. That what I want to say is that the land that we are all on, all of us of European, Middle Eastern, African heritage, everybody, the land originally was Native American land for multiple thousands, millions of people, generations. So we have to honor those lives. And if you watch Star Trek, they had a planet called Darvan 5 in one of the episodes that was Native Americans. And you know what? That was genius. That's right. There is such a place. Only it's not just Native Americans also. We have other Holocausted peoples. We have a lot of black people waiting in the Akashic record. We have a lot of Jewish and Celtic people who died in pogroms and genocide and starvation, famines imposed by wealthy kings who didn't care about the people. We have lots of people from every tradition and heritage. We have lots of Asian people who went through all kinds of purges, big death marches. We have all those people that Joseph Stalin got rid of. They want to rise and become risen. They want you to hear the pain they had, and they want you to have compassion on everybody. Not just a few people, and not just middle-class people or above, but to know that God is God, created all people to be valued, and that we have done something terrible on this planet, and we have to stop what we're doing and go back to a better way, which is what they had in Atlantis. So we're going, that's what Common Sense delivered. Common Sense delivered a government that had full complement of women, indigenous, no slavery, and no property requirement. It was ignored, and you're ignoring it now because you're listening to television and you're listening to the plutocrats, and you're going along with them. They're giving you a salary, they're giving you a perk, they're winking you at television, they're saying, aren't you a good girl? Aren't you great? You know, and they're giving you your little bits, and you don't notice that there they sit with, now it's 99% of the world's accumulated false wealth on paper, and the rest of us have 1%, and that's supposed to be good for this and the rest, the 99% have about 1%. Is this supposed to be good for the 1%? Is it any good for them to be this cruel to billions of people? What does that do to their soul? You know that all of the major religions have said that a person who does this cannot get into heaven anywhere, on any planet. They come back, if they're lucky, as a paramecium. It's not the way to be. We have an inverted culture, and we're valuing the wrong things. So we're gathering here where we can gather what women value, which you heard in the tape: taking care of children, spending time with their neighbors, and trying on hats that are the hat crowns of the Statue of Liberty, Atlantis risen. So we mentioned some of these people, Anna Marie and Ma Patricia, and we include Myrtle and Rose and Marie and Pearl, and we include also include Grandma Popper and Grandma Mariam and all of the daughters of Ray and sisters of Ray and great and grand, we don't even know. And we're going all the way back to the beginning of time now, not only through Thrace and Romania, but also to the Middle East, into Africa. All of our families just migrated from all these places and into Asia too. We will come into that, where our family is connected to Asia also. And so we have included the Margul, so the way everybody on the Margulian branches. Margulian means Mary's gold. It means the flowing of love gold. It means solar sunshine gold too. It means gold. You are golden with that name. It also means ripe pearl. You are ripe and ready. You are overripe for democracy. And that's why you're acting weird, because you were ready for it. And then it was kind of seduced out of your hands by teleprompter reading women who only talked mostly about men and occasionally a token woman, but not about parity. That was made sure you didn't hear about that. And so, you know, there was a game played on you. Your mind is not functioning right because there was a game played on you, and you're trusting. Most people, and most women in particular, are rather trusting at a certain level of authority. Your authorities betrayed you. That's because they were sick themselves, or they came from sick families, but they were raised by a series of nannies. They don't have good bonding, but they did betray you, and you're going to have to wiggle your way out of their betrayal plan, or else you're going to be in the middle of Fukushima. So, so that's the Margulian branches. We have obviously famous people: Francesca, Alexandra, Rachel, Juliana. We have Marjorie and Hillary and Chelsea. We have Anne, a whole bunch of Annes that did marvelous, miraculous things. We have Elishava's family. We have Ivy. We have Ivana. We have Candace. We have lots of very excellent people in healing, and especially Marian Wiener Margulies and her daughter Hadass, and their colleagues and friends and family on all of those branches, very, very much connected with us in this way. And, you know, all people of these heritages, especially of the Judeo-Christian heritages, are no more than 50th cousina and cousin from one another, and at best, and most likely between more like 5th and 15th cousina and cousin. So you're very close already. And so now we'll include our silver Kindian branches becoming gold. And there was a man associated with this place, Julian. And, you know, he was a younger son and came under a lot of pressure during the Depression. A lot of men did, a lot of good men did. And we lost a lot of talented and excellent men. Well, he has family too. And we include her, Antoinette, his mother, his sisters, Lillian and Adele and Rose. And also the daughters, Harriet and Yaki, and Jacqueline. And we are including very great families: Susan, Sarah, Jodine, Laura, with Lisa and Hillel, and with I think it's Gili. I'm not sure of the boys' names. I have to look this up. I really, until you begin to respond to the situation of the women, it's hard for me to always pay attention to all of the boys, but I'm including them. They don't need to be harmed by patriarchy either. They're just as important. They're very important. They are very important, and I value them. And you should too. But you can't value them if you don't value their sisters. Then you're not valuing them. And that's the Silverkindian family. You have Carol Silverkind, and we have from Lucille, we have Lee and Thelma and Arlene. We have Batya, Helene. We have Cherry. We have their cousinas who are through their male cousins, but also our cousinas. We have Sally and Deborah and Mary and little Sandra, and we have and a whole bunch of family on those branches too. And so those are our Silverkindian family. We have the Zalkindian family. We have Rose, and we have her mother, Marie, of flowing kindness and love. And Rose is the risen rose of purity, of extremely beautiful fragrance, of romance and heroic qualities, both for females and males. And we have Marcia, we have Annette, we have Rebecca, we have Sandra, we have Denise, and we have others. There's more there too that we have to learn more about. And then we also have all our Feldmarian family. We have Soma and Meredith. We have, and their family, Vedanta and Giselle. We have Andrea and Robin and Jamie. And we have I'm blanking on my thoughts. Oh, what am I not remembering? This is most important. We have Cheryl with Stacy Anastasia with, and we don't know. Cheryl's got another name that's coming in here that would be a very interesting name to know, a very important name likely. And we have Dorothy, we have Reall, and we have Andrea, and we have Jill. We have other young women on that tree too. We have other Feldmarian women, and then through the Margulian clan, we're getting into the Sweet and the Sagan clan, and the Sagans, obviously, we're the Gruber Sagans. I'm a reincarnation of Rachel, one of my many reincarnations, and there's Carrie, and she's here too. And that's why we have now the ability to bring everything is interconnected and opening the stargates. Now, right now, this is mostly in my mind. I know these people are out there, but they're not connecting with me very well. I've made just initial connections with some of them. And so this isn't robust enough because you're not helping. And because it isn't robust enough, you're sitting on Fukushimas. Because you're not cooperating, you're sitting on Fukushimas now. I can't take this away from you. You're making yourselves very much an endangered species by not cooperating to come to these broadcasts. Also, I want to include, very importantly, Vanessa and her mother, Victoria, and with Mariama and Estrella and Libertia, and Vanessa's younger age group of females, Raquel and Lynn and Sharon. And that's a very important coupling that she has with Harlan Lewis Laviz. Now, we also want to pair, we also have some mothers with just sons. We have Mary, whose mother was Hannah, who just has, as far as I know, just one son, which is Ross. Ross and Hadass have extremely profound overlap in their interests, and they really are natural friendship here, and collegial lights. And obviously we've mentioned, let's see, I've not neglected to mention Anrita and Marilyn. We have Linda with Michelle. We have to reunify. Those are another set of separated sisters, and with dire consequences for both of their regions. That separation is too serious, but they can regain their connection over the internet if they are smart, and they can start cooperating if their mothers and grandmothers are smart. And Jessica and Jennifer with Ellen, with Amrita, also remembering Molly and Lillian, who often came to the health store. And we have other women of the family and community here. We have Judy and May, and her sister Alicia, and we have Temmie and Laura with Margaret and their family, and we have Louise and Elizabeth. These are some of my neighbors, and of course, the most important neighbor here is Georgine with Shirley and Malka, connecting with Julianne Marie's memories of Malka. So Julianne Marie and I, we need to repair our sisterhood, or you could expect the Fukushima. That's a big one. That breach between Julianne and I is a very big, major cause of what's causing this Fukushima situation, and the possibility of a great disaster, as well as a complete loss of democracy. And so it's very serious, and I'm asking you all to cooperate with me and with her, because Julianne Marie was a victim of patriarchy as a baby. A lot of people in this culture were. She had a very poorly trained pediatrician. He hurt her. He harmed her. He harmed her relationship with a marvelous, miraculous mother, Harriet, and those two never completely recovered their bondedness, even though they came forward quite a bit, because Harriet did very much love Julianne Marie, and she didn't put it together herself, didn't know enough, didn't have the education to know that the problem that they had dated back to the breastfeeding time. So Julianne Marie is an expert on what can go wrong with breastfeeding and how to correct it. And we have been trying to have Julianne Marie working with Marion and with Barbara and with Ivy and other women here who are dealing with mother-child psychology all over the place in their careers. And I'm sure it also affected their lives too, or they wouldn't have chosen those careers. To heal the world to heal the world and the Milky Way. With the New Millennial Golden Rule, that has included very much the importance of breastfeeding for mothers and children on cue for at least 2 to 3 years. And so we have this, and we have now we have obviously we have I've mentioned some of the younger men, and what we want to do is a ceremony here. First, all of the adult women age 37 and older, age 38 and older, announce your goddesshood. You have goddesshood within you. You become co-secretary generals, co-saviors, because you can now plug into the internet and learn everything that you ever wanted to know in life from all over the world. You can even have automatic translation. It's very, very easy. And you also have the solar panel potential, which takes everybody out of their, you know, their hamster like running around to earn money, because you won't need to pay for a limited fuel. And there won't be a need for much money. You just have abundance without effort. And also, once you learn that some of these permaculture techniques of gardening and community gardening and farming, we are now learning that in the agricultural realm too. I've sent you some while ago some of the work with Esther Deans, another Esther, and I'll get back to some of the other family community. We have Esther and Ilse here too. They don't have to work hard. We're literally, the orchards bear the fruit. The Esther Deans types procedure, no-till farming, bears the vegetables. And everybody has a lot of time to learn, to play musical instruments, to write poetry, and so forth. And so, you know, so we have, including Esther and Ilse, Judy and Sarah, Mrs. Light, Mrs. Sylvia Light and Bonnie. We're including Robin with Sylvia and Goggy and Beth, and if I have forgotten everybody, and anybody, I'm sure I have. And I also want to mention the names of men. The men are working through me. They know, the men in heavens on the other planets, they are waiting for their ability to become risen through us. They made error in their allegiance to patriarchy over the last several thousands of years. They adjusted to patriarchy, and it was bad error. That's why they had so many wars, and so many of them died young under stresses caused by patriarchy. They want you to remember them. So we're going to say Julian, Lewis, Alan, Emil, Oscar, Paul, and the younger brothers of Joseph and Milton. But we have only said them after we did the goddesshood of all the women and then the young goddess and godhood of all the young people. We do that first. They actually have to come first. And we've said their names aloud, that the younger people in our family tree, the young women and the young men, and the young men only have to wait like a little mini second for the young women to come first. So they are ennobled, they're ennobled instead of made more selfish, and they become great leaders with more great patience. They have more of the risen ester of testosterone instead of just the testy part of it. And we have more of a risen culture of the Mariama of Magdala's and Jesus of Nazareth fulfilled in all of us, that we're kind, but we have enormous powers, and our lives are easy. They're easy. You're on easy street with the New Millennial Golden Rule. All the hard work is gone. All the labor, hard stuff is gone. All you have to do is think a lot, and you're able to travel through space-time. All you have to do is think deeply, and you can travel through space-time. And without injury and without harming others. And you have the entire universe to play in. Just watch Stargate and Star Trek. They imagine these kinds of people because they exist already within us as abilities. And we can become them through the New Millennial Golden Rule. So you have done this. You have delivered this with me, co-delivered this New Millennial Golden Rule with me at this place with all of our various heritages. Oh, I neglected to mention Anna Maria, who works in Lawndale, lives in Lawndale, where this family used to, where this place is, and her sister Julianne. There's another Julianne here, and we got several of them, and there's a reason for that. We got bunches of Rachels and Rochelles and bunches of Juliannes, because the universe is redundant and trying to give us a chorus with which to act in coordination with one another and feel the sense of overlap and yet individuality too. And so we're kind of, you know, we're flowers in gardens that have a couple of flowers of the same general look, but a little bit different, each one of them. And that's what makes it so beautiful. And that's really what makes it so beautiful. And you are the marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flower. So let me do this ceremony. I think I've mentioned most everybody. If I forgot anybody, you mentioned them. And I didn't mention all of our famous families here, but let's just do them very briefly. We're including Ethel and Rose and Jackie and Maria and the Brannock, Skakel, Fitzgerald, Bouvier, Kennedy, all that. We're certainly including, even before them, Christine and Coretta and Rosa and Angela and Fania and other people of that Black and African-American heritage. We're including lots of Hispanic women. We're including Dolores with Maria, with all of their family, and that includes Cesar. Cesar as a whisper with the other men, and he's waiting. He wants to see the women get their act together so he can be honored too. We're including all of our Asian and Hindu and as well as Asian Chinese family that live not far from here in Chinatown, Julia, and we're including and we've mentioned through our Hungarian Romanian connection the Vedantins and the Vedic India is all in our family tree. We have the Baha'i, we have the Unitarian Universalist. It's all here. We have the Judeo-Christian. We have we even have the precursors to Muslim. We have the Uzza worshippers, the Isis worshippers, all of the goddess cultures of the Middle East that were suppressed. I, like Phyllis Chesler, who's also here, do not think that our current version of Islam is acceptable because it's too misogynist, although there are many people within Islam who are trying to break out of that and creating a new form of Islam, which goes back to include more of the goddess worship. So, you know, it's all the same thing in all of these cultures, only what has happened is our media has been controlled by the regression, by women who need men to pat them on the head so badly that they don't carry the story of their own gender properly, and who have mother wounds, and men who are so sociopathic because they also have mother wounds because they were raised by a series of nannies and don't have bonding, that they don't know the value of a family and they don't know the value of a family tree, and they're deliberately disrupting your ability to have democracy. So you need to just turn off the television. Just turn off the television and come and co-broadcast, and you become the great good news. Okay? And now we'll do the ceremony. The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers. Hugs and love to all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. Oh, let me put it so you can see me doing it. Let me get the screen share out of the way, and now we can. The light is on. Here it is. The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers and water. Hugs and love to all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers and water. Hugs and love to all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. And we'll say, Mitakuya Oyasin, Mitakuya Kose Reall. We'll say, Namaste. Let's start with Namaste. That's the most meaningful one for what we're about here. Namaste means the divine within me greets the divine within you. And you were all created to have that. So as fallen as this society and culture is, there's a part of you that is struggling to be recognized in your divinity. There is a part of you, don't let that go. Don't let that light go out. It's very hard to put it out completely, but people can become very stressed by a very sick culture, and that's what we are. So be aware, turn off television. Don't believe who your leaders are, the ones you're told are. They're not. The whole thing is bollock stuff now because of a controlled media. for the past 25 years. So just assume you're the leaders and the other people you know are the leaders, and that's it. And we'll say, again, the light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers and water. So Mikatuya Yasin, Namaste, Mikatuya Oyasin, Mikatuya Ko Savior All, Kong Sampox, Kong Pex Culture, Tiobesk, Sedleric, Merci, Mir Pache, Buenos Dias, Ubuntu, Shlanzvag. Oh, and I neglected to mention some important families. There are some that I forgot, very important. We want to include the Schulgreis, I believe that's the name, Heidi, and Linda, and Diana, and Deanna, and Sarah. We want to include, I think it's the Arnsteins, Donna, and Abby, and the little brothers there. And we want to include Bessie, all of our Russian heritage of our Kurgan troubled fellows. Even though they are troubled, we want to include their mothers and their great and grandmothers. We include Bessie, and we include Antonina, Panina, we include Elsa, Valentina, and Tatiana, and we include let's see, and in fact they were probably well, I won't get into that about the Russians right now. It's a heavy situation. That's where Chernobyl was, you know. So people of that heritage can bring that here without realizing that they're doing that. I think, okay. So now we'll get back to the ceremony. So Shlanzavag and Dasvidanya, Buenos Dias, Ubuntu, Sayonara, Chop Chop, and all the languages, and we'll say love and live eternally young, love and live eternally young, longest, and prosper, everyone and all. Okay, not just a few, but everyone and all. And we'll drink the milk of human kindness, the breastfeeding milk that mothers give to their babies, females and males. That's the beginning of the holiness of life, that experience of bonding. And it's so protective of empathy, creativity, the will to democracy, the will to do good, and the spiritual feelings and the bodily resilience are coming from that. And we now know that everybody does best if they have 2 to 3 years of on-cue breastfeeding with their moms, and the entire society and community and family all organizes around to support that. So I drink the milk of human kindness for all, both in each and every one as soon as possible. As Co-Secretary General's Co-Sefiraz Equinox Drew Q's. And for those of us who haven't had the best ideal experience with breastfeeding, and there's a lot of people in the United States who haven't, when we're no longer putting our money in military and no longer wasting it on cleaning up Exxon Valdez's and Fukushima's and Chernobyl's, then we'll have lots of money and lots of resources and a lot more time for people to heal. And we'll develop even better techniques, and we have some very good techniques right now to help people heal with very kinds of desensitization, visual imagery, holding, hugging, sensory and bodily therapies that are very, very healing and are very excellent. And the light workers are very busy all over the world doing these things. And we know that we have this to help people who had not the most ideal experiences. We can recover from our wounds. And so we'll drink the water of loving, living planets that will regain and sustain our planet Earth and all our planets of the Milky Way and beyond to be past, present, and future as Equinox Drew Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-Sefiraz. And we'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days, starting with our spring and autumnal spring birthdays. They're the reciprocals on the northern and hemisphere times, all those months, and then all the rest of the year's rounds, birthdays and conception days, name days, and holy days together, past, present, and future as Equinox Drew Q's. And we'll show that the other reciprocal balance. We'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days together as equinox true cues. Oh, there's another branch of family. Let me say, I've forgotten to mention some important, but they're kind of latecomers into it, but they're important, very important. We want to include Annabelle and Lillian and Irene and Hortense, and we want to include Arlene and Helen and Debbie and Dana and Dale and Julie and Dory, and we want to include Barbara, and we want to include all the people on those branches and people who know us through them, and we want to include Jan and Randy, and we want to include everybody. Now, right now, some of these people are very much in a way that is induced by the culture. All of our family is induced by the culture for the women to ignore one another. As long as that's going on, they're all going to suffer the Fukushima. So I can't, I can't protect people who are not hearing what I say to them. But if they can be willing to understand, they may have to get a mini Fukushima. I personally think that's the only way you're going to learn. That if you get a mini Fukushima, that you will have some ability to learn. But if you have to rely on my word only, you're not going to, and it's going to go on and get worse and worse and worse until you do. So I hope you have a mini Fukushima rather than nothing. You might need a 3 Mile Island type accident to wake you up. That you ladies have been not in making the decisions for too long, and it's going to be a lot of hassle and big hassle. So, and we'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception. Oh, what am I saying? I'm showing this picture. Oh, let me start with the consciousness currencies. You know these are on the websites. You know where to find them on that section on infinite wealth and the gallery of consciousness currencies, and also on the congresses and assemblies and courts, grassroots congresses, courts, and assemblies where your names are already, and with your consciousness currencies. Okay, and then our large family grouping with all of these names and more symbolized. And again, the order is to give the goddesshood to our great and grandmothers, then to our current Shekinahs, age 38 and over, and then to our younger people, our Shekinahs, and our Shekinahs, age 37 and younger, in egalitarian society before they get so old that they can't have children in balance, before they get to the point where their society doesn't allow them to balance love and work. And that's very important. That's the key issue of marriage. Okay, that's we lost our camera here for a second. Okay, there we've got it again. So that's very important. And we'll give that to all of our generations now, back and forth in time, because they now have the new millennial golden rule as the way of all planets. And therefore, if they blow us here, they'll discover it on some other planet. I hope that's the way it works. We're accomplishing something here, even if you don't think so. By my giving this to you, you have a little bit of a chance. Now, wouldn't you like to have this joy in this incarnation instead of having to go through umpteen million more to get it again? Okay. Some specially endangered family. They're endangering and endangered because in Chicago there's a very intense error going on, and that was because I'm from there but was forced out of there, and without me there is a big gap in the lace, and that formed for many, many people, and they have made adjustments which are deleterious to themselves and others, and that's why we're giving them the option of coming to these conferences and having the way to gather, and then we can gather again on sacred grounds there and everywhere else. In all your homes, especially our sisters and mothers here, and young great and grandchildren, and imagining those here on this side for the young lady. Yeah, all of us together there. But this grouping is really a mini grouping, and what is needed is this larger circle now. We need to make this circle to be 11s. We have to get to this, and I'm here for you. I know who you are. I know that you know who you are, but you're not doing, for 3 years you haven't said a boo to each other. So you're choosing Fukushima. Let's face it. You pretty much got Fukushima now. I can't stop that. You've been choosing to ignore each other for years. Ladies, did you think there was no end, no limit on how badly you could ignore each other? You got to wake up. And I think I said the sweet family. I want to remember our Iona and Iona Vargas also, the different Ionas, and remembering them too. Okay. And then we'll also say, and including them, not just remembering them, but including them, past, present, future. And we'll say, we'll start fresh with parity on this planet and all our planets of our planetary paradise. And we will stop ignoring each other, and we will come together and stop the Fukushimas by coming together here or making 3-way calls to me or whatever. You have got lots of options. You can also send nice emails to one another to start something better than what you're doing, and avoid your Fukushimas and avoid the plutonic patriarchal planeticide that you are sitting now right up to the door of. You're right there. So oh, you don't want to hear what I'm saying? I guess you prefer to die. I don't quite understand this. You must have thoughts and feelings that are not apparent to me, and I don't know what they are, and I'm very concerned about you, all of you. But the way is simple to enjoy life. Choose parity and not patriarchy. And so we'll start fresh with the new millennial golden rules, co-secretary generals, co-sefiras, equinox true Qs. Okie dokie, and we are going to just say again that we'll say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, all the blessings and all the greetings of all the heritages of our earth and earths, past, present, and future, as co-secretary generals, co-sefiras, equinox true Qs. And we'll say that again. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, all the blessings and all the greetings of all the heritages of our earth and our earths, of our Milky Way and beyond, past, present, and future, as co-secretary generals, co-sefiras, get rid of all this national boundary stuff, use the sun, covers the entire planet. It's our nearest star. We are star stuff. We should love each other like the creations of the universe that we are. Understand that each person has a universe within them. The perceptions, the realities shared is where it comes out into its beautiful rainbow, and that's what you want for your light. And you don't have to hold on. You know, the words are female and male are equally anointed. The ancient words were Greek and Jew, equally anointed. What that means is every nationality isn't very important because you're genealogically connected. It goes way beyond nationality. And your family has moved in many, many different incarnations, and you're going to move from planet to planet in a little while, so don't get hung up on nationality. And also the master-slave issue. No more masters and slaves. Everybody has equal abundant wealth with the new millennial golden rule. And it's infinite wealth because you're relying on the sun instead of finite energy fuels that you have to destroy the planet for. And you're also, in other forms of renewable energy. And because you're doing your world in harmony with nature. Mother Nature is respected, and Father Time is understood as not her master, but as her partner. And so it's yin and yang together. So we love you, and that's our ceremony. And you know that we've been on the conference line. Sometimes I don't have them on so they're interconnected properly, right? If you ever have any problem getting on to the conference line, let me know, and I'll make sure that that doesn't happen for you again. But it should be pretty easy to go through, and you can also call each other. Most of you have numbers that can be found in a phone book, and so I think you should be connecting with one another by now. And I'm very concerned that you're not, and I know that you are sitting on Fukushimas, and if you're not in Illinois, it's more likely to be at Indian Point in New York and Diablo Canyon in California, where you're going to have some ripple effects. And there could be, and another group I didn't mention, did I just say Lynn and her sisters Joanne and Sharon and Diane and her daughter Jennifer and her daughters Hesperus and Athena and the little boy Tani, and all of there's men on those branches too of the Margulies Sagan interface of step and family there, and family and step family that should have great love for one another. And I want to bring together some of these family, and I need to do that. Margulie and Sweet and Sagan family. It's very important that we bring them together, but I can't do that with no cooperation from you. I really can't. You're setting yourselves up now. You've been setting yourselves up for 3 years, and I've been saying, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And I guess in your mind, whatever I say is just not good enough. She's a female, not good enough to listen to. Maybe some man in her life doesn't agree with her. Some of the men in her life doesn't agree with her. So we can't pay any attention to anything she says because the big alpha males haven't given her this stamp of approval. So we'll just ignore this wisdom, these pearls of wisdom, and just go right instead to Fukushima and have a terrible time. I don't know what else to say. That's what you've picked. So we have precious women and precious younger people in this family. You reincarnate the most famous people of many, many biblical and ancient holy traditions. Yet you have no regard for one another. I'm in a state of shock from the way you've treated each other over these years now. And our younger people are in too. You ladies have a dissociative disorder. You need to look in the mirror, take a huge glass of milk and say, I'm going to get on that phone to Rochelle. I'm not going to let her do this anymore without me. I want to call her. No matter how much I don't like her, there's something I don't like about her, I don't believe her, I don't trust her. Overcome that. Because if not, you are going to have Fukushimas. You really are. And I can't prevent it. So, I can admit it if I'm a failed cosmic Christ. If you want me to be a failure, you're the price of that decision. You become your own down payment on horror, loss, and extinction. If that's what you want, with all of the blessings you've had in this culture, the enormous material wealth, if that's what you choose, there's something going on in your dissociative disorder that I cannot penetrate. And I can only pray for you, and I do pray for you all the time. I pray for you intercessorily, but we cannot leave it at that because it just is not enough. You have to cooperate. You have to form the circles. So I'm going to let you watch the screen share for a while, and then that's our broadcast. I guess I'll do the musical medley. You might as well hear it. Why not have a little inspiration? It's good to hear the music. We'll do our screen. I hope you're watching. I don't know why you don't call in or broadcast. I don't know what to say to you. It's just, you're odd. You prefer Fukushimas. I don't know why. I don't have the answer for why you don't try. Some guys in your way. Some guys taking your light out of your heart. You can't resist the smell of testosterone. I don't know what it is of an older man. I'm not talking about our younger men. Our younger men are okay. It's the older men that you can't seem to let go of. And that's really strange. And it's the mothers who are misleading you, the mothers of tokenism instead of the mothers of parity. Any mother who doesn't care about parity doesn't care about the future of humanity. Is that you? Hope not.
Celestial event. No. No words. No words. I should have said. Oh, so beautiful.
My family is filled with poetesses and poets, healers, musicians, co-secretary generals, co-secretaries, ethnops, I've given you to see what I've seen.
These are the
about opening up your eyes
as
and your
much as
ears.
physical voyages of the co-federation, solar, sun, starship, planet Earth, restored to heaven on our and every earth, as our spiritual, genealogical, local, global, universal, voyager, and shared her and his family community enterprise. Our new millennium year's mission to rediscover and re-understand, sustain, and explore our and all are in fact familiar new worlds of family community, of the tree of love, life, and light, throughout
Now you know what graphics we're showing, but you should be watching and co-hosting and co-hosting.
And sustain our inner life and more sustainable civilizations, past, present, retroactively, and now, rebellion, and future, always balancing, to lovingly view us all logically, humanly, become, and be space-time travelers, whatever and where we have, individual reality, or in part been before, it also never been before, in alternative space-time lines that are circles, which are of the universal EQ, IQ, and SQ continuum, balanced combinations of the ever-expanding circle which spirals and grows, budding and blooming in space-time. Love and live enlightened, ever young, learn, and prosper all both in each and every one. Engage your heart, mind, soul, and body, for we all, both and each, both and all, can, must, and marvelously and miraculously make it so.
In the thunder's blast, she emerges, her eyes on fire, and my IT priestess. She's risen from the nativity of Caldera. She is risen from the fires of the earth. She is risen. She is risen.
We are risen.
She's risen. She's risen.
We are risen.
We all are risen by my intercession, and I will be dealing with what is in the impediments that are in the way now.
महालक्ष्मी मृडप्रिया महारूपा महापूज्या महापातकनाशिनी महामाया महासत्त्वा महाशक्ति महारथी महाभूत महेश्वर्या महावीर्या महाबला महाबुद्धि महासिद्धि महायोगेश्वरेश्वरी महातंत्र महामंत्र महायंत्र महासना महायागक्रमाराध्या महाभैरवपूजिता महेश्वर महाकल्पक महातांडव साक्षिणी महाकामेशमहिषी महात्रिपुरसुन्दरी चतुष्षष्टि उपचाराढ्या चतुष्षष्टि कलामयी महाचतुष्षष्टि कोटि योगिनी गणसेविता
On our native sacred grounds everywhere, all over the world and worlds.
Actually, not. No. Words. Words. I should have said. The poem. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Our family is filled with poetesses, poets, healers, artists, co-secretary generals, musicians, co-secretary generals, co-severas, equinox, true cues. And I also want to name Margaret and Paul, another mother and a son, mother and a son that I want to name. But I forgot to mention that his unkindness toward me, Margaret.
This day I call the heavens and the earths as witnesses intercessorily for and hopefully and prayerfully not against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose love and life with light, so that you and your children may live. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not your our new millennial law.
Okay. I've got a good trick here. Maybe May Sunflower, or Killer Tea and Blacksmith. This is Anna Marie, singing Christmas, and I am Cherokee, Cheyenne, Blacksmith, and out of Washington, Nicolette. And I am also a French, English, and German. Itukuye Island. That means we are all related. We embrace the new millennium golden rule and so love all the natives of the sacred ground that is Mother Earth and all the planets of all the universes.
There, we have a nice broadcast for you to listen if for any reason you didn't make it to see and watch. Clearly, we haven't had any people calling as far as I know on the other line. I'll double check right now. My dearest family, all the family community, I apologize to you. I just made an error and erased the recording of the entire ceremony and the music included that was on this extension. However, it's very similar to what's already on the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 extension. So you really haven't missed anything much in terms of not having it available. It's available there at the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 extension also. What happened was I had completed the broadcast and done the stereo version of it here on this extension. And then I switched the hook to see if anyone had called in on the conference line. And when I went back to this extension, it had disconnected. So I couldn't, you didn't hear it. The entire ceremony was done again yet today. And also, and the music included and everything. All of your names that are mentioned in the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 extension and more were mentioned. And so, and were given as Co-Secretary General's Co-Secretary by me intercessorily. However, I am wanting to say, I said many times during the broadcast, that by your not cooperating at this point now, you are likely sitting on drastic environmental catastrophe. Because the human interaction with one another in our society has become pernicious and tainted by patriarchy to such a point that it is inhumane now, and therefore the social institutions that protect the environment and protect the social environment are not functioning properly, and therefore you can expect an interaction with nature that is going to be very deleterious. Now, the way to solve this as a problem is to come and co-hostess and co-host. You already know this. You can also send each other an email that says, I would like to get to know you better, and copy it to me, and that Rochelle has something that she's saying has a value to us. That will be a little teeny gesture, it might be in the right direction, but if you don't do any of that, I'm pretty sure that this week you're going to, maybe in more than one place, have environmental catastrophes where you are residing. If it's in Illinois, I think that's the most likely place because of the pernicious interaction of people from Illinois in line with not understanding the value of patriarchy, not in value understanding casinas and so forth. But you know, it could happen anywhere, and it can even happen here in Maryland, where I am. There's also there's potentials of many different forms of eco problems here in Maryland, because this is a ripple effect that's affecting the entire landmass of North America and also the world. It could happen somewhere else, and it can drift its radiation or wherever into North America. It could happen in China. And because China is reeling from the fact that the US policy has been to reject its solar panels. Why is that occurring? Because there aren't enough women in government to know what is important for our world and act upon what they've already said that they feel is important in their polling data. All of this goes on, and it's interconnected, and I guarantee you that your four walls will not keep out radiation, that your buildings, your houses, your neighborhoods, all of them will have enormous consequences from your failure to do this with me. How bad may depend on things that I can do to mitigate a little, but without your cooperation at all, you know there's going to be something. And we have several young people in this family and women in this family who are vulnerable at different ages to succumbing from the patriarchal pressures going on within their family in the name of taking care of them. Yeah, we have quite a bit of hypocrisy going on in the society. The medical establishment has already injured many of the people of our family tree over many, many decades, because it is patriarchal and is not based on valuation of nature and understanding relational processes and deeper systems. So you're all sitting on all of that, and you keep not wanting to call. So you don't want to talk with each other on the conference line. You don't want to co-deliver the New Millennial Goal. You could send an email to everyone that says, I agree with the New Millennial Golden Rule. It would protect us. Do that. Make a tape like Anna Marie did and send it to me that says, I endorse the New Millennial Golden Rule, and her mother did. Do that. Do something. But most importantly, come and co-hostess and co-host. That's where you get the great pleasure of knowing one another, of seeing one another, and of not being in this individualistic paralysis that you have going on. I'm very frustrated with you, but I will never give up on the children of the Mother, Father, Goddess, God, and Goddess God does not want to give up on you. So it's most likely that because I'm doing something in this ballpark, your events will not be quite as bad as if I just gave up and let go of you, or didn't try and didn't continue this. If anything really stopped me from doing this, I'm sure the world would be ended. I mean ended. It would be an extinction. I am your only hope right now until you become Co-Secretary General Co-Savior Raz with the full focus on this as I have. Anna Marie and Ma Patricia did a lot. They have done a lot, but they are not able to do your job for you. They can't keep you know, coming after you like they're your Cinderellas. I don't mind doing it because I know I'm the Statue of Liberty incarnate. To me, I am the giantess goddess, and you are currently acting Lilliputian. You're acting very tiny. But I know you all have the heart light within you, so why don't you come? And you can be as your full force and your great size as goddesses and gods of this world and of Milky Way and of our universe, as co-secretary generals, co-severas, equinox, Trucuse. You all have the talents for this. You all have the giftedness for this. And I love all of you so deeply, and I love those that I knew and know the best, the knew in childhood and knew growing up and knew in growing up in my home and growing up in our homes and growing up in our schools and growing up in our high schools. I know you very, very well. And those who I've encountered over the internet and in other conversations with you, I've come to love you very, very greatly, just as much. And I know that some of you are very truly essential to the well-being of the people that I grew up with. So if you don't get together, you're all blowing each other away and you're destroying your futures at this point. At this point, that is what you are doing. You're destroying your present and you're destroying your futures by not heeding me. I mean, I'm not a fool. I have a good high IQ and I've researched a lot and I feel I have this understood at a very, very deep level. I don't have it perfect. The job of a Messiah and a cosmic Christ, let me tell you, in a world as fallen as this one, it's not exactly an easy job when you do it alone. But if you have a little help, it can become very light and easy. And for all of us. So you take your dangers away or you're going to have them now. And I can only do so much for you, and I'm warning you and warning you. I have no intention of disconnecting with the people that my mother raised. I'm not going to do that. But I also need to be very clear that the level of connection that is going on with me just leaving messages on machines and not having you gather where you can see each other's faces in the air on this marvelous, this miracle that does exist in our times, that you're not trying to use that, you're acting like you don't know what century you do live in. You're acting like lower animals than the kitty cats. And by the way, Maria Rainbow Sweetheart and Donia Feliz and Maria Rainbow Sweetheart, and Donia Feliz do say hi and hugs to Heather and Jam and Heather and Holly. And there's another Holly, and we also got Whiskers and Tiger and Holly and Tiger and Buttermilk and Blackie and Buttermilk and Felix and all the kitty cats and all the flora and the fauna and the furry pets, including we have two great dogs here, a female big and a male big, very, very gentle dogs, and that are to me a good omen for what I do, and as well as the kitty cats, a very good omen that I am doing the right thing, and that you have that those kind of various qualities within you, great gentleness and purring kindness, as well as a guardian protective ability to do the right thing, to be righteous, and to have your full size to you too. So I want you to, and I love you, and you know you can call me 24/7, all the flora and the fauna, the butterflies, the birds and the bees, all the people too, starting with the Shekinas and the young Shekinas and the young Hikinas. We've essentially done the Elu Kosevero ceremony. Today you didn't hear it because I screwed up a little bit with this serial line, but it is available on the internet, and I think most of you do have the internet. And any of you who you know of who doesn't have the internet will get this message, so they'll know it was done, and they can go and listen to it at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, and they'll essentially get the same understanding. It did occur live. I did it live today, and so it was done on your behalf. And I will continue to do these things for you unless something stops me. If something stops me, this world will come to an end. So if you know of someone who's trying to interfere with my efforts in reaching out to my family, I would warn them very, very seriously that they are destroying their own lives. And I wouldn't want to test the hypothesis. And they certainly are destroying their children without a doubt. That is clear already. So, you know, anyone who's trying to interfere, and there is someone who's trying to interfere with my communications in a very strange way. So, but you know, at some level, you all have been doing that, because some of you are mothers who do not carry forth the messages left, and some of you are children who do not share enough with your mothers, and it's going back and forth. You're all playing these games with each other. So to some level, you're all a little bit guilty of this, and that's why you're sitting on Fukushima. Why don't you just come and co-host this and co-host and have a great time saving the world? Overcome the barriers, the mind-forged manacles. Know that I love you, and you can call me 24/7. And I'll say to the entire family as your clan mother, huge hugs, huge hugs, huge hugs, huge hugs, huge hugs, huge hugs.